The way we see it, there are 4 major tiers of video game character popularity. You have your almost completely unknowns, your characters that are mostly known to fans of that particular genre, and then you've got your well-known characters, who are familiar to pretty much anyone who is into gaming. The final tier, though, is reserved for the true icons. These timeless individuals have a reach that extends beyond the gaming world and into the realms of pop culture as a whole. These are the guys that even people who've never picked up a control pad in their life might begrudgingly recognise. And we've assembled who we think are the 4 most characters in this category for today's list. The cream of the gaming crop when it comes to sheer recognisability, if you will. A couple of rules: we're sticking to 1 character per franchise, and we'll be exclusively looking at characters that originated in video games. But aside from that, anything, or rather anyone, goes. I'm Ashton from TripleJump, and here are 10 iconic video game characters that even non-gamers recognise. Number 10, Steve. While Minecraft is undoubtedly a worldwide phenomenon, only a small percentage of those who recognise its foremost character would actually be able to name him. As such, Steve finds himself at the tail end of this list. We couldn't omit him because he is undeniably an instantly recognisable character around the world, but we couldn't put him any higher, as most just see him as a default skin and nothing more. They would probably be right to as well. Deliberately devoid of any backstory, Steve's identity is that of the default basic skin. However, despite the fact that most people will change and tweak their avatar and quickly equip them with suits of armour and face-covering helmets, this blue-shirted goatee sporting fellow has become the face of the franchise. The angular idol recently appeared in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a DLC character, and many might have hoped that this would reveal more about the enigmatic icon, but he is still bereft of backstory here and remains voiceless too. Oh Steve, if only we knew what was going on in that big blocky head of yours. What have those square eyes seen? It shall forever remain a mystery. Number 9, Spyro. Gamers love dragons, and gaming has provided plenty of dragons for them to choose from. Big dragons, blocky dragons, robot dragons, gaping dragons. There's really something to suit everyone's taste. However, the most recognisable video game dragon of all is also one of the cutest, and we know him as Spyro. Don't be fooled by his size, because Spyro is capable of all the usual dragon stuff. He can breathe fire, swoop around with the best of them, and he even likes to get his claws on shiny gems. Despite this nod to the trope of dragons as miserly treasure hoarders, Spyro is a hero through and through, as depicted by his 1998 debut, where he single-handedly took on the villains who have turned his dragon powers into statues. Brash and cocky, but capable of getting the job done, Spyro embodied those 90s values, and claimed his place in the hearts of gamers in those heady PS1 days. Now those gamers have grown, but they all still hold that little dragon dear, and his iconic purple scales and yellow horn combo are instantly recognisable throughout gaming and beyond. He was also in Skylanders, so most of you probably have a Spyro figurine lying around the bottom of your wardrobes too. A sign of success if ever there was one. Number 8, Donkey Kong. Slightly bending our 1 character per franchise rule here, but we think that Donkey Kong can be considered part of his own series. Sure, his path has converged more than once with a certain character you might see later in this list, but DK is his own man. Gorilla. He's his own gorilla. Originally introduced to the gaming world as the villain of his self-titled debut, the story goes that legendary creator Shigeru Miyamoto took inspiration for the 3 characters in his ladder-climbing, barrel-dodging arcade game from classic cartoon characters Popeye, Olive Oil, and Bluto. I'm sure you can guess which one Donkey Kong was based on, but unlike the surly Bluto, our tie-wearing Simian pal soon found his heroic streak and became the protagonist of his own franchise. This is primarily exemplified in Rare's Donkey Kong Country games for the SNES, where DK rose to stardom on his own and ended up rivaling his former sparring partner in the sales charts as well as on screen. Thanks to his continued appearance in popular titles on Nintendo consoles, DK has maintained his status as the most recognisable gorilla in gaming, and we don't think anyone's going to challenge that crown anytime soon. Sorry Winston, maybe if you had a rap written about you. Number 7, Crash Bandicoot. So far, we've had a blocky bloke, a dragon, and a gorilla, but the next character on our list belongs to a species many might not have heard of before this orange whirlwind burst onto the scene. In real life, Bandicoot actually refers to a group of mostly nocturnal marsupials that are primarily found in Australia, but as far as we can tell, none of them are orange or attack by spinning around in a violent mini tornado. Crash Bandicoot debuted in 1996 by the Naughty Dog developed title of the same name. Originally a PlayStation exclusive character, the Bandicoot was seen as Sony's mascot, and as it was already established established Sega and Nintendo equivalents. Nowadays, Mr. Bandicoot shows up on any platform going, but he did achieve formidable notoriety on the exceedingly popular PlayStation 1, and the original trilogy of games, despite being infamously tricky, achieved mainstream acceptance. Between then and now, Crash has starred in karting games, party games, and yes, he showed up in Skylanders too. He also enjoyed a recent resurgence, thanks to the original trilogy being remade for modern consoles, just like Spyro. In fact, for PS1 fans of yesteryear, Crash and Spyro will forever be two inseparable icons of their youth. You could say the two go hand in hand, or should that be wing in paw? Number 6, Master Chief. Mildly disappointing TV series aside, the fact Master Chief's face has never been shown really makes it remarkable how he got to be such an icon. Although his status as a messiah-level hero and saviour in his universe, his manly, gravelly voice and his penchant for plasma grenades all have something to do with it. We'd wager that his super cool suit of Space Marine armour is a major factor in the big man's gravitas too. Also known as John 117, Master Chief is the primary protagonist of the Halo series of games. Once upon a time, this franchise represented the very pinnacle of FPS gaming in terms of popularity and public perception. And whether you were jumping into some multiplayer or sampling one of the franchise's many great campaigns, you could rest assured that you were in for an epic and satisfying sci-fi experience. The franchise doesn't carry the clout it once did, but old legends die hard, and the emblematic suit of Mjolnir armor is as instantly recognizable today as it was in 2001. Time moves on, heroes come and go, but Master Chief is still one of the foremost faces of gaming. Well, one of the foremost visors in gaming, more accurately, but my point still stands. Number 5, Pikachu. We're getting really mainstream now. These characters are the ones that only the most stubborn denier of popular culture could even claim to not recognise. And kicking off the top 5, we have everybody's favourite electric mouse, Pikachu. Of all the original 151 catchable critters introduced in Game Freak's world-dominating franchise, this adorable electric type was the one that kids and adults gravitated towards the most. And it's not difficult to see why. Even in its original chunkier form, Pikachu was quite the charmer. With that happy mousy face, those little red cheeks and that lightning zap tail. A quick redesign later, and the personification of cuteness we all know and love was born. Don't squish it too hard though, alright? Of course, strictly speaking, Pikachu is a species rather than a character, with Ash's Pikachu from the anime simply being the most famous of the lot. But we're putting the yellow fellow on this list nonetheless. One side effect of being such a popular Pokemon is that the other forms in Pikachu's evolutionary chain get very little interest at all. Pichu and Raichu are comparative small fry in the Pokemon picture, with Raichu especially barely getting a look in thanks to the popularity of its predecessor. Sorry big guy, get back on the unused Poke pile with Dunsparce and Mr. Mime. Number 4, Lara Croft. British aristocrat turned explorer and survivalist, Lara Croft paved the way for female video game characters in what had, up until her 1996 debut, been a primarily male-dominated industry. Sure, the likes of Samus Aran and Chun-Li might have taken the first steps before her, but Miss Croft was a lady who really got the girl power ball rolling. Of course, it hasn't all been plain sailing. The Tomb Raider series of video games have run the gamut of quality, and Lara's portrayal and influence as the first video game sex symbol has been seen as negative by many observers. Whilst all of that is in the eye of the beholder, Lara's fame cannot be denied, evidenced by her character transcending gaming, spawning multiple movies and adorning the front cover of magazines. So whether you prefer her in her original pointier form, or are more partial to the dirt, scratch and bruise covered iteration seen in the modern games, we're sure that almost every gamer out there, casual or otherwise, has joined Lara in at least one epic adventure. I just couldn't think of anyone better to go crawling through cramped, trap-filled tunnels and isolated jungle temples with. Could you? Get out of here, Nathan, you didn't make the top 10. Top 20. Maybe. Number 3, Pac-Man. Pac-Man creator Toru Iwatani allegedly based Pac-Man's appearance on a pizza with a slice removed, when he was trying to think of a video game character that would appeal to girls and boys. Considering the pill-chasing one's current status as international video gaming icon, we'd say that it worked. Ah, pizza. It really does bring the world together. Similarities to flat, round, dough-based treats aside, Pac-Man's maze-focused gameplay took arcades by storm, with punters queuing up to take on ghostly villain quartet Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde in an attempt to gobble up all of the dots on screen. While it was undoubtedly difficult for most casual gamers to survive more than a few screens, Pac-Man was far more accessible than the majority of games available in arcades, and offered an alternative to the alien blasting fare that was common at the time. Of course, Pac-Man's legacy extends beyond those smoky 80s arcades, with home console ports, adventure games, TV series, and movie appearances in store for the character in the years since. Even his pizza-shaped wife got a slice of the fame, with Miss Pac-Man starring in a couple of games of her own. They really are gaming's ultimate power couple. That is, unless the next next 2 characters on our list get married. Can't see that happening though, so they're safe for now. Number 2, Sonic. Taking our number 2 spot is a prickly character who's not too used to coming in second. Known for his speed and a bristly attitude to match his spiky hairdo, Sonic the Hedgehog quickly transcended gaming and became the kind of pop culture icon even your grandparents have heard of. Conceived to challenge a certain other video gaming mascot for his video gaming throne, Sonic originated in the self-titled debut game back in 1991, not counting his previous cameo appearance in 1990's Rad Mobile. Wowing wide-eyed 90s kids with his super speed and cool mannerisms, the blue blur rocketed to mega stardom, taking sidekick Tails and nemesis Dr. Robotnik to the top with him. These early days were a whirlwind of speed, action, high-quality platforming and timeless tunes, but Sonic suffered badly during the switch up to 3D gaming, and he's enjoyed a bumpy road ever since. None of that seems to have dimmed his star power though, and the famous Hedgehog has remained lucrative and relevant throughout. Whatever you think of Mr. the Hedgehog now, back in a time before PlayStations and Xboxes existed, he was the only character to truly challenge our number 1's gaming crown. And that, dear viewers, is a legacy worth celebrating. Who's up for a chili dog? And number 1, Mario. Before we chow down on our spicy sausage snacks though, there's a small matter of our number 1 entry. And in a move that will surprise absolutely no one, we've gone for Mr. Video Gaming himself, Mario. An unlikely hero in a way, this portly carpenter turned plumber isn't exactly your usual superstar material. Perhaps it's this everyman appeal, as well as his surprising agility and his drive to never give up in the face of danger, that makes him resonate so much with people. Or maybe it's just the fact that the grand majority of games he's starred in have been bloody fantastic. Either way, if you randomly ran up to someone in a shopping centre and blurted name a video game character, they're most likely to blurt back Mario. Well, that or leave me alone or I'll call the police, but that's a risk you'll have to take. Not only is Mario the foremost face of gaming, but many of his buddies are worldwide superstars too. In fact, if we check out the list 1 per franchise rule, Brother Luigi, Love Interest Peach, Nemesis Bowser, and faithful steed Yoshi would have all been seriously considered for top 10 status. To many people out there, Mario is video games, and for this reason, he stands proudly on top of the great gaming totem pole. He's the industry's brightest star, and he's showing no signs of fading.